everybody, and welcome to the vitamin of this week. I am Audrey Mack, and this week we are going to talk about the key to tenacity. If you have watched the last week gospel, which was a strong faith, how to walk in a strong faith, then what I'm going to share today is going to make sense. And I really want to encourage you. The link will be in the description. You'll be able to find and watch this little gospel. Because Jesus talked about the importance of having a faith that is like a mustard seed, a faith that is tenacious, a faith that starts and will not give up until the end. You know, this is exactly what Jesus was talking about in Luke chapter 18, verse 1 and 8. You know, Jesus always used parables and stories to illustrate a very important truth. And he talked about a little widow that approached an unjust judge and says, I come here to be avenged from my enemy. And then the judge would not, and then he said, lest she wearies me because of her continual coming, I will give it to her. Now, I'd like to add that unjust judge does not represent God, because he's a good father. It represents the enemy that will try his best to stop us by walking by faith. That's what we talked about last week. But here, the continual coming that judge was referring to, it's in Greek is 3 words, eis, telos, erkomai. And what it actually means to come, to be set until the end. Right here, Jesus was illustrating what a strong faith looks like, or what a mustard seed kind of faith is like. It's a faith that starts and refuse to give up. It's strong, it's tenacious. Remember, we talked about the woman with the issue of blood. But today I want to tell you, how do you get that kind of faith? How do you become like a bulldog? How do you become tenacious? You see, you're not born one day tenacious. You're not wake up one day, all of a sudden you're tenacious. No, this is something that is acquired. And how? A little bit at a time. In another word, my friend, we acquire that attitude by choosing in the very small things that present themselves to us to be tenacious, to start and never give up, to start and finish. I cannot tell you the number of people that start things and never finish it. It's everybody can start, everybody can have a good idea, but not everybody finishes or goes to the end line. And it's so, that kind of attitude, that kind of tenacity, you acquire it when in the very small things of life. I remember being in Bible school, and I would to make a little bit of money, I would clean houses, a little bit for a pastor here or for friends over there. And I remember the temptation to start something and not finish it, or to do it halfway. And I remember the Lord spoke to me, said, Audrey, if you start there to clean this bathroom, this toilet, you're going to finish till the end, until you can eat on it. Literally. And I remember every time I would start something, I'd be in my house, I would start something, and I'd be tempted to stop and do something else. The Holy Ghost would remind me, no, Audrey, you finish what you start. And I started to develop that attitude in all the small things that I do every day. And without realizing it, I had developed a tenacious attitude. And when I would be attacked by the devil, or when something difficult would come my way, that same attitude, that same bulldog, tenacious, attitude, it become natural. It's like, riding a bike. You do it a little bit, but you don't give up. You do it until you succeed. You see, that's the same thing. But you know what I've discovered is that tenacious attitude is an attitude that is required to walk by faith. You remember I explained it, how the devil's mode of operation will be to confuse us, to stop us, to distract us, to stop us from accomplishing and finishing what God has started, what is spoken to us. And so what the devil is going to try to do is to get us into that mode of we start and we don't finish. He's going to try to have us develop that kind of attitude in our life where we become people that start and don't finish. People that are kind of shallow and superficial in that way, or that will start 10 things at the same time but finish nothing. And you know how he's doing that even more and more and more? I've noticed that through the social media. What do I mean by that? It's become now that you've got to scroll. I don't go on the social media. Thank God I have somebody that does it for me, you know. But this is what I've noticed. If you start getting hung up on it, let's say you go to Facebook, all of a sudden you want to scroll and you want to go faster and you want to see as many. You go. And here is something else. You start a video or you start something and you never finish it. I was so amazed. I have we put so much on the social media messaging, and we even endeavored to do like those gospels that are 10, minute, a little bit above, but we try to stay between the 8 to 12 minute time, which is really not a long time to feed on the word. And we notice that even then people, they start, they don't finish. And they showed a research that the majority of people that go on social media, they became conditioned to start and not finish. It's like they started, come on, there is like a 40-second video, they'll start, they won't finish it. What is that saying? It's saying that the devil is conditioning people to start, not end. And it has to be shorter and shorter. People's attention span is getting shorter and shorter. I used to be invited in churches that would ask me to preach for an hour and a half. Now, 50 minutes. I go in some churches, it's a little 40-minute sermonette, or in other churches, even worse. One time I went in a church, they wanted me to preach for 20 minutes. And I'm thinking, and you want me to do signs, wonders, and miracles? You want to change the world? You know what? Because we are, instead of people adapting themselves to the word, the church is adapting themselves to people and what the devil is doing in the culture of today. And so now if you don't pay attention, my friend, and you give in into that trend of going faster, start and not finish, and stop in the middle of the message and not force yourself to finish what you start, what will happen? Your faith will become weaker and weaker. You'll find you'll be attacked. You'll be stopped by the devil, and you won't have the inside fortitude like that little widow that was sad until the end, or like that woman with the issue of blood. You won't have that inside fortitude, that strength to finish, to persist, to be tenacious until the end. You can fool yourself all you want, but that kind of attitude is developed intentionally, a little bit at a time, every day. So I'm just sending out an invitation. Do not fall into the trap of the devil that is trying to convince you that the more you scroll, the faster you scroll, you start and not, end, you not finish, that it's has no consequence. Oh, yes, it does. It's training you to be a shallow person that has no tenacity and that has a weak faith. And the devil's got you right there in the bag. So we're going to undo that. We're going to reverse that. And it's my goal and my aim to send the clarion call and say, let us be people that develop an attitude of fortitude. We start, we finish. We don't give up. We don't, end in the middle of the game. You'll you finish it, even if you have to die in the process. You know what I mean? I'm joking, of course. But my assistant says, no, I'm not joking. She probably is right. But you know what I'm saying. Why? Because our faith depends on it. Our healing depends on it. Our ability to receive from God depends on it. So we're going to develop that attitude of bulldog, of tenacity, okay? I'm counting on you. And so God bless you until we see each other again.